G'day there folks, Neil Morrison and welcome to this week's edition of Catch and Cook. Where am I? I'm in the top of the Gippsland Lakes. It's early May and at this time of the year, as the first bits of cold weather come in, and it's been damn cold, the big bream tend to work their way up the rivers from the mouths upwards. At the moment, from what all reports are, they're sitting at the river mouths and that's where I'm at the moment, in one of these. Chuck this out while I'm talking and hope I don't catch a fish first cast, because Noel, my partner, he always says if you catch a fish first cast you're not going to catch another one, and sometimes he's damn right. Hopefully not today. Now I'm just running over this bit of water with my sounder. It's only a cheap, you don't need anything special, and it's showing wall to wall fish underneath me. Not showing big fish, but it's showing a lot of fish, so hopefully I'll be able to show you a few of those. I was out this late. I mean, it's lunchtime, midday. I was out mowing lawns this morning and I'm looking around and thinking, it's just too good a day. I've got to get out in this. There's a few fish coming up on the sounder now, so it won't take long, hopefully. I'm just going to chuck some plastics around. The bigger fish tend to be up against the edges. So I've got some hard bodies with me, some shallow diving, some deep diving, and we'll see which ones work best. I don't use a lot of diving minnows, but this time of the year the big fish really prey on little fish and they get pretty aggressive coming up to spawning time. So we use a lot of vibes, but some plastics. Let's see how we go. Follow me along. Well, that didn't take long, folks. A couple of casts, but it's awful small. I'll show you this one. Oops, he's off. Come here, fishy. Now there's a very small East Gippsland bream, nowhere near legal size, and they'll be stacked up out here. The sounder is showing heaps and heaps of them on the bottom. They're only babies, we'll let them go. So the system we use, I'll show you that. I'm using a little creeper lure. 4 or 5 gram head, don't need to go too heavy. Just put him back out there. Hell of an easterly wind this morning. It wasn't when I was mowing the lawns this morning, but it's come up since. So we'll let that lure hit the bottom. I'm in about 3 metres of water. According to my sounder, there's fish everywhere underneath me. And we just give it a few flicks. All I want to do is raise it up a little bit, let it sink down, flutter down. Raise it up, let it sink down. And you'll feel the occasional little, oh, when I go to lift, there's a little bit of a bump and you think, oh, was it or wasn't it? It's usually a fish grabbing hold of the tail and just playing. They don't, unless they're really turned on and they actually eat it straight away. And then you go to lift and it's, whoa, yeah, I'm there. And a really big fish, you lift and you think, oh, I've got the bottom. Then you get those big old head shakes. I love that. There's an incredible amount of fish here on the bottom. But they must be pretty small or they're just switched off. Typical bream, when they switch off, they really switch off. And then give it 3 or 4 hours, something will change. The tide might change, the wind might change. You might hold your mouth different, no matter what it is. And all of a sudden, they're a fisher cast. And I'm hoping that happens this afternoon to show you, because it hadn't happened yet. Here's my 3rd or 4th cast. I only caught one little one, but they'll come on. I might switch over to a vibe. I really love vibes, but missed that one. Here's a fish. Again, like I said, grabs the tail of it. You feel him when you lift, and a head shake, and then he's gone. Look, I'll come back. We've just got to hope there's some really big ones in amongst them. Now, my mate Brett Geddes, he's in his kayak this morning. And he's over in another estuary further over. He tells me the biggest he's got is 46 centimetres so far this morning. Not a bad fish, eh? There's been a lot of estuary perch around. Now we've really got to thank the Victorian fisheries for that. They've been stocking heavily now for a few years, and it's really paying off. Most of the fish we're seeing are between 35, 37 centimetres, but a lot of them. It's been really, really hot. And once you're onto a patch of those, you know, they're not hard to catch. They're pretty easy. You'll be topping your lure like I'm doing. You'll see a tick in the line. He's opened his big mouth, he's sucked it in, and you strike fairly quick. And then you try and keep them out of the timber. They're really good for heading back into that. I'll persevere a bit longer. I may switch to a vibe, just so I can show you some decent fish. Stay tuned. Well, off camera, folks, I've caught a few tiddlers. I won't show you those. They were this big. But I've now switched to a vibe. Let's see what changes this time. Hopefully it will. We usually target bream this time of the year on vibes. Like I say, they're pretty aggressive this time of the year. We'll soon see. Not so far, they're not. The sounder is showing lots and lots of fish stacked up underneath me. They're mostly small, but look at the arches. My normal fishing partner, Noel, rang me this morning. He's up at Magnetic Island, I think it is, with his family. Got some family things up there happening. And it was about, I don't know, mid-morning. I just finished some lawns, make the missus happy. And it was about 8 degrees. And he rang me and said, oh, it's terrible up here. He said, it's 25 degrees and I'm in shorts. And I thought, don't ring me again. Hate that. Anybody that knows me from the show from years ago, I hate the cold. Absolutely detest it. So now that I'm retired, I don't get out of bed too early. I prefer to fish afternoons, especially into late evening. That's when the fish really get moving. The early morning bite's great from daylight till about 9 o'clock. Ooh, missed that one. But if you miss that, it gets a bit quiet through lunchtime, which is about now. What happened there? Should be working. You can feel when it doesn't vibe, there's something wrong. Yeah, I'm going to hit the bank here in a minute. So again, I'm in about 5 metres of water just out from the bank here. It's quite deep. Ooh. That one took it on the way down, which is much, much better. Ooh. It's actually pulling a bit of string. That's better fish. It's a lot better fish. Ooh, that is good. If I can get this bloke out, it's going to be a net job. Geez, he feels good. Excuse me a second, I'll just grab the net down beside me. You'll notice on the vibes I was using, I used little assist hooks on the back. Ooh, it's a nice fish. We find they've got a better hook-up rate. They don't get caught in the timber quite as much. And you usually get some good fish on them. Ooh, it's a nice fish. Oh yeah. Okay, show you this one. Oh, if I can get him out. There we go. That's what we came down for today. That's a beautiful fish of about, I'll tell you how big. Oh, they're shockers. So he's 39 centimetres. Haven't quite cracked the 40 mark today, but yeah, I will. But that's a beautiful fish. That fish will be spawning soon. Big blue nose. You can see the lure there in its mouth. It's one of the old kamikaze vibes. I've just modified it a bit. Not a bad fish, eh? I don't keep bream hardly ever, unless one of the friends wants a feed, or occasionally my wife might want one. She doesn't mind too much, but I'm not a big fan of them. I'd rather catch a flathead, and there's some good flathead in the system here at the moment. They're working their way up into the rivers as well, from down south or east of us. Now I'm going to get the pliers out here. There is nothing worse than grabbing a vibe by your fingers. The fish gives a flap, and those hooks end up in your fingers. One in your finger, one in the fish's mouth, and he struggles. Oh, it hurts. So get away, tree. I might leave you right here. It's all happening. Righto. I'll get this fish off and I'll show you a bit more. I'm having a bit of trouble, folks. I'm actually hooking a lot of fish. Just that tiny little tap. They're grabbing the end of the lure or the hooks. They're just not committing. They're not fair dinkum. A few of them I've had halfway back to the boat and they've let go. They're not really in a feeding mode, and that's annoying. But it's the middle of the day and you've got to expect that. Now, I would normally have expected these fish to be right up against the bank. I'm finding most of them are about 10 metres out. And that's where the sounder is showing them. There's heaps on the sounder there at the moment. I'm just getting those little bumps, you know, they're just quite frustrating. Show you how we're doing this. We hope a decent one grabs hold to show you. Funny, interesting report. A couple of the boys this week caught a couple of small dewies up here in this particular bit of water. They weren't hit. Took on the way down. See if we can get this one. Oh, come on. Using braid, you can feel it tap through the line. And you know it's a fish grabbed hold of it. Now I got 3 hits then, never hooked one of them. Okay, 4 hits and I hooked one. There we go. Ooh. And it's a nice fish too. Gee, a lot of big head shakes. Some decent fish in here at the moment. A lot of smaller ones out further. The big fish are, like I say, 10 metres from the bank. Not doing much. Just sitting there. A few nice head shakes. Back that drag off a little bit. Haven't seen him yet. Almost up. Ooh, another lovely fish. I'll just grab the net. Come on, fishy. You don't need to go too hard on them, just in case you pull the hooks. They have got sort of hard, rubbery mouths, but it's not hard to pull the hook out. Not hard at all. Alright. Another beautiful fish. I'd say 38, 39 centimetres. Again, there's that vibe. So I got 4 hits on that one cast. It wouldn't have been the same fish. There'll be a few in there. We'll get that out. Got the hooks there. Actually, I'll measure him and show you. Yep, 38.5, so not bad. Beautiful fish. I think the Gippsland limit these days is a 38 centimetre. So again, too big to keep anyway if you did want to keep him. So he's back in. Thanks, fishy. Okay, I've got to beat that 40 centimetre mark today. And I've got to beat Brett because he got a 46. So let's float along a bit further. See how we go. Couple more casts, folks, and on again. This one's a lot smaller. Well, not a lot. He is smaller. There's obviously a lot of fish down there. The sounder is showing fish all the time. So like I said earlier, they've worked their way up from downstream, down around Lakes Entrance and Paynesville and all that country. I'll try and let this bloke in. And they've ended up here for the moment, fairly high in the system. Beautiful looking fish, aren't they? Beautiful. And yeah, they'll stay here for a little while. Hopefully they'll spawn this year. And they're picky where they spawn. They've got a. I'll get this out. There we go. And I'll put him back again. So they're picky where they spawn. It's at the salt wedge where the salt is on the bottom, the fresh water is on the top. Sorry, I'll try and block that sun out from behind me. And they spawn in the salt wedge where the water meets, the salt water wedge meets the fresh. And unfortunately for us, we've got a huge population of carp up these rivers. And we all know they come along and hoover them up afterwards. So obviously some survive, and we've got a fairly good system. And now that the nets are out of the Gippsland Lakes, things are really going well. We've had our best flathead season I can remember since I was a kid. We used to get good numbers back in those days, but not as big as they are now. You know, a 70 or 80 centimetre fish has been fairly normal this season. Let's wait for next season. And yet another one. I'm enjoying this. I'll send a few pictures to Noel tonight. That'll upset him. Only a little bloke, this guy. There you go. Not legal size. Not that that worries me, I'm not keeping anyway. But yeah. I've had to actually take the jumper off, it got too hot. Oh, I love that. Come on. Oh, I should use the pliers. No, got it. Oh. Slippery little devils. Oh. I'll just get that one up again. So yeah, beautiful little fish, but obviously too small to keep. But stacks of them. It's great to see that they're coming on. I don't know how old that fish would be, 4 or 5 years old. But they're going well. There'll be a lot of stocks here for years to come. That's the best part. Okay, come on, a big one. Try and give you an idea again what I'm doing, folks. Since I turned the camera off, I've caught 3 more fish, but they've all been little. So, casting within about 5 metres of the bank. I don't know whether you can see that behind me. Letting it sink, watching that belly in the line. The moment that belly drops, I lift. If I leave it there too long, the current takes it up under the timber and she's all over. So the minute you see it drop, you lift it. Sometimes you'll feel a little bit of a tug and you'll think, oh, was it or wasn't it? Sometimes it's hitting a bit of timber. Sometimes it's a fish grabbing it and not hooking up. And sometimes it's a fish hooking up. That's the best bit. Oh, there's one. No, hit it twice. Do that again. Not really. The little fish are swallowing it right down. The bigger fish just aren't committing. But there's obviously a lot of them there. Like I said, there's some estuary perch in here. Kind of hope to catch them. I love those things. They're usually down toward the mouth of this piece of water. On the edge of the lake. There's a lot of them down there. Come on, fish. You turn the camera on, you can't catch a fish. It's normal. Strange. One more. Now, I came back from Tamboon Inlet last weekend. I went up there. It's Far East Gippsland. I was up there with the members of the Sale Fly Fishing Club. And we had an absolute ball. They'd had a hell of a flood a week and a half before that. Let's get those things off. So the water was chocolate brown. But the flathead was stacked up. They were up on the edges within literally a metre of the bank, and we targeted a lot of them with flies, and we caught some nice fish on fly too. There's a fish. Ooh, ooh. Oh, no! Big solid head shakes, and I made no way with him, so that was a good fish. Hate that. Check the lure, yeah, it's fine. Damn. Righto, I'll try that again. That was a good fish. Damn. Yeah, so Tamboon Inlet. We stayed at a house on the other side of the inlet, private one. Absolutely glorious weather. There's another one. Again, not many head shakes. Oh. You wouldn't believe it. I lost that one too. It's two added, two. Righto. Go for another one. They were both really good fish. I'll catch a little one now, you watch. Oh. Come on. So as I mentioned about Tamboon, it's the most beautiful place. There's a little bit of camping there. Place called Peachtree Camp. Oh, come on. Righto, this time. This one's a lot smaller. A lot smaller. Oh, it's only a baby. Like I said, I land the little ones, okay? I don't know whether you hear that big thump behind me out there. That's the RAAF base boys doing bombing practice at the Dutson range. It's quite a few k's from here, but there's some awful big bangs happening. That's a baby. So yeah, wouldn't like to be over there at the moment. Righto, one more. Then I'll turn the camera off for the big fish. One of the other problems is fishing this bit of water. It is chock-a-block full of snags on the edge. There's one there. So far this morning I've probably caught half a dozen. Haven't lost any lures yet, but I'm sure I will. No hits that cast. Righto, I'll turn the camera off, wait for a big one. Well folks, I think it's about time this old guy went home. My back's killing me. I have caught a lot of fish. How many? Don't know. A heck of a lot off camera. And I still can't crack that 40 centimetre mark, and I've tried so hard. I got a heap of 39.5s, heap of 38s, lots and lots of fish off camera. I've changed to hard bodies, that didn't do any good. The really one they seem to want to have today is vibes. No matter what sort of metal vibe it was that I put on, I caught fish on it. So that's a good sign, and that's about normal for this time of the year, so I'll keep casting for a sec. So don't forget, when you're up in Sale area, drop in and see Mad Outdoors. They're our sponsors. They've got all sorts of cracking gear for you. They only stock the stuff that works. All right, so anything on the shelf will catch fish for sure. They stock everything from shark gear, big game gear, right down to the tiniest little stuff. A little bit of fly fishing gear, not a lot. Stuff for your boat, lots and lots of King's camping gear, and all sorts of other stuff. So drop in and see the boys. But it's time for me to go home. Got some chores to do, and I'm sure the missus will have a list ready for me for tomorrow. So now you get that. So I'm Neil Morrison. You're watching Catch and Cook. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next week. See you guys. very good eat. Normally, oh.